Very warm welcome, everybody, to our team's press conference here ahead of the FIA Formula One Monaco Grand Prix. Joining us today from left to right on the screen, we have Dan TOWRISS, FLAVIO BRIATORE, and Pedro de la Rosa. Welcome to you all. Flavio, if we could start with you, please. Great start to the season for the team. Alpine has already surpassed its points total from last year. What aspect of the performance pleases you the most?
Good afternoon to everybody, anyway. What we done last year, we not developed the car at all, because if we developed the car last year, we have P9 and not P10, was no big difference, And we working much better in the wind tunnel, etc., etc. We had the agreement with Mercedes, and all this together put the big improvement. We are not there yet, absolutely. But the new setup of the team with the new engineering we have in the team, and especially the agreement with Mercedes for the power unit, it make such a big difference for us. And after you have the driver in the car, and Franco is doing better. Pierre is, we know Pierre, like the performance of Pierre is always consistent. And all together make us a little bit better, a little bit more competitive.
Tell us a little bit more about Franco. He's gone much better since Miami. What do you put that down to?
We put a new battery. Franco is a young guy, like all these young drivers, arriving Formula One with a lot of pressure. At the time last year, if you remember, you don't know if it was finishing the season or finishing the season, was not really concentrating the driving, was concentrating the gossip. Now he settled down, and all the team like him, and we are very happy the performance he made just now. And we don't know how good is Franco. We see, because all these young drivers, it's difficult to understand what is the limit, what kind growing still have a driver like Franco. We see we have the full ear for understand where we are.
And off track, Flavio, you've been busy. Can you give us an update about the sale of the Otro Capital shares?
Really, you have another one question? Oh. What? But, in one way, Otro is nothing to do with the team. Otro is hedge fund bought 24% of the Team Alpine 2 years ago. And in the moment I want to sell, like everybody knows, I was negotiating with Toto Wolff behind the Williams team, Mercedes team. Look like 3 days ago, the agreement fell, all the negotiation, we see what happened, but really had nothing to do with the team. We don't have any pressure from Renault Group regarding Otro. This is really the problem of Renault Group, it's not the problem of the Alpine team.
Do you understand why Toto pulled out?
It's very easy, the price was so high. At one point, the guy still built up the different price, and I think so. Toto was very fair, I believe. I don't think so Otro people are fair, but Toto in all the negotiation was very fair.
Final one, you've announced a big deal with Gucci. Does this feel like Benetton 2.0?
Yeah, it's, at the time Benetton was not a luxury brand, was a brand. And we create a winning team with the brand of Benetton. Gucci is one of the big deals I've done, I think, all my time in Formula One, We've done MI7, we've done Telefonica, we've done a lot of the ING. But this one was really difficult to do because there was too many parts involved. And I'm very happy because they're upgrading the team as well. It's a Gucci Alpine, and upgrading the team and people with Gucci, unbelievable. When we announced the deal, in 3 days was 1 billion of the visitor in the Wi-Fi. I believe it's good for Formula One. We have 2 big luxury brands in Formula One. We have Louis Vuitton in one side, and Louis Vuitton is a sponsor, supporter of the foam. But in the arena, this is like the spectator. But in the arena, Gucci is in the arena. Gucci is in the car, is the title sponsor. I want to as well tell thank you to BWT. We have an incredible relationship with Andreas and with all the group of BWT. But the position of the team I want to be, I believe for growing very quickly, for the image, for as well financially, and the deal with Gucci was perfect. It was a really super deal.
All right, Flavio, thank you very much. I'm sure there'll be more questions for you in a minute. Dan, if we could come to you now, why don't we start with some first impressions of Monaco? It's the team's first race here. What do you make of it all?
Yeah, I mean, it's incredible to be racing in Monaco. You know, as you said, it's our first race for Cadillac Formula One. And so there's such a special history here. It's such a special race on the Formula One circuit. And so this is a big milestone for the team to finally be here racing, for Checo to be back here as a former champion. You know, he's obviously feeling very good. And so, yeah, we like the progress. We like being here and very excited.
Well, Checo, it looked like he was going very well in FP1. Does the unique nature of Monaco offer you guys more of an opportunity?
Yeah, I think so. I mean, you know, obviously we've got to continue to execute, and we'll see. It was just a first practice, but you never know. Something magical can always happen here. But really, from our standpoint, we're just worried about, you know, focused on the progress of the team. You know, just continuing to mature this organization and make the cars go faster.
Can you tell us more about the progress you've made with the team? Are you satisfied with where you are now compared to where you started in Melbourne?
Yeah, absolutely. I think, you know, it's one process to get a Formula One car to the track, to get it to, the testing, the preseason testing. It's quite a different process to run a team as you think about upgrades and all the things that happen, racing throughout the year. And so this organization is maturing before our eyes, as it continues to, make all the improvements necessary in every stop. It's performance on the car, it's pit stops, it's organization in the garage, it's the things we're doing in the factory. All of those work streams are happening simultaneously. And so I'm very happy with the progress, but at the same time, everything's not, performing to its maximum. So there's always potential, there's always more out there. So it's finding that right balance of being happy and unhappy at the same time.
Tell us about the drivers, the progress they're making, and the influence as well that they're having on the team.
Yeah, so obviously their feedback is, is very important to the development of the car. I think both drivers are doing exactly what we want them to do. I think we've seen a rejuvenated Checo, on track. I'm just really admire how much fun he's having racing. You're seeing the confidence build, the feedback growing. Progress isn't always linear. So obviously Valtteri's not at the same pace as Checo, but he's doing all the things that we're asking, and his feedback is helpful as well as we're looking to do things to secure the rear of the car and things like that. So so it's great, and again, both very instrumental in moving this car forward.
Can we get your reaction to the speculation surrounding Valtteri's future at the team?
Yeah, support. I think Graham was very clear, in that piece. We're just a few races in, and so Valtteri's doing everything that we can ask. And so, I think when I first saw some of the news, my reaction was, wow, we've actually shown enough progress that people are starting to mess with our drivers. Apparently, Checo's leaving, and Valtteri's going to be sacked, and we'll be left with no drivers. So, but clearly, we're happy with both of them. They're committed to us, and we're committed to them.
All right, Dan, thank you. I'm sure there'll be more questions for you in a minute. And Pedro, thanks for waiting. Let's come to you. It's been a tough start for Aston this year. Are you starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel yet?
Well, good afternoon to everyone. Definitely not, not yet. We are where we are. It's a difficult start, especially because we are in a position that we were not expecting to be in. However, there are really a lot of things happening behind the scenes in the factory, which makes us believe, that the upgrades, all the significant changes that we will introduce around the summer will deliver. But we have to talk about what we have right now, and what we have right now is a very difficult car. Drivers that are doing their best, and they're doing absolutely an incredible job to drive the car as fast as they can in a reliable and safe way. But it is difficult. I would prefer to delay this, when we see the light, when the actual upgrades are running, and we can rely on facts. My words, we've been talking so much about what can be and the light at the end of the tunnel that sometimes it's a bit, just repeat ourselves a bit too much.
Are the reliability niggles now sorted? The vibrations, the seat issues for Fernando last time out?
Yeah, I mean, there are many positives in the sense that, the vibration issues are gone. It's past, it's gone. And Fernando did not say anything over the radio after FP1 or about his seat, which is positive as well, which means that all the work that has been done on Tuesday at this track, trying to fit his 25 seat in this 26 car has worked. However, Lance was complaining about seat problems, so we still have to fix some other problems, but it is going in the right direction. Yeah.
You talked positively about the drivers a moment ago, but what about Fernando, a guy who's achieved so much in the sport? How difficult a period has this last 6 months been for him?
Well, it's difficult for everyone, drivers especially, because they have to drive the car, they have to face the car, they have to face the media, they have to explain every race what's going on. Very similar questions to known problems, and we know that in the next few races we have no upgrades. However, we can see the upgrades coming, but they're far away. So, it is, the motivation is there, but it is definitely, they've been extremely supportive. They've been working extremely hard in the simulator. They've been working extremely hard in the team, in the race team, in the factory, spending the time, but it's difficult. It's difficult because when you're not where you are expecting or you are not where you want to be, it is always more complicated.
The final one from me. Can we talk about Adrian Newey? Because you worked with him at McLaren, I think probably 20 years ago now. And of course, you're working together at Aston Martin now. Is there any difference in the two experiences? Do you see any difference in Adrian?
Well, I mean, the only difference really is that I'm not driving his cars anymore, unfortunately. But I see no difference whatsoever on Adrian. He's like working flat out. His work ethic is outstanding. He's one of those engineers that, he always listens to the driver more than anyone I've ever worked with, which is really beautiful to see as a former driver, because nowadays in this modern world where data is taking over, you sometimes talk with an engineer and they're looking at the screen, they're looking at your face, and they don't know if it's the data right or you are right, And with Adrian, he's just writing your comments in a notebook. I remember in Australia, 2005, for example, when I drove the third car. You remember when we had the third car and in free practice, I did a few, laps, and he said to me, he asked me one only question. He said, "Why can't you go any faster into turn one?" And I said, "Well, I go into turn one, I turn the wheel, and the car just understeers off, so I cannot go any faster." And he said, "Show me how much you steer in that corner in the apex." And I did like this with the hands, more or less. And he said, "Okay, that's 6 degrees." And he said, "In the wind tunnel, we cannot go over 6 degrees, because if we go over 6 degrees, we cannot turn the car and generate that yaw, and steer." So he said, "But I have some ideas." So anyway, he wrote down left hand, and then came back to the next race. He had made some changes in the front wing, and the car was a lot less steer sensitive. And that's Adrian, just listening to the driver. And what makes him special is that actually he delivers. So anyway, great to see him in the team, really. He's a great leader and someone that is truly inspirational for all of us and for so many young engineers that have joined Aston Martin.
Okay, Pedro, thank you for that. Let's now open this to the floor. We will start with the broadcasters, please. Who's first?
Craig Slater from Sky Sports. A question for Flavio. We know Christian Horner's consortium is still interested in buying the Auto shareholding. Have you had any more meetings with him at all? And if he were to be successful, or that group, would you look to involve him in any sense in the running of the team?
Like I tell you before, the Auto is a Renault group problem. It's not really the team problem. And we have, I think there's a lot of negotiation go around, different team, different people. including, at the time was including Christian. For me, whatever solution is found by Renault, I'm very happy to accept whatever solution is. But whatever by the chef from Motro needs to have the bless from Renault. I see very difficult to somebody spend 600 million to buy a minority in one company if it's not agree with the majority. I don't understand the political of Dotro, honestly, because in this moment it's going nowhere.
Okay, thank you, Flavio. Next, please.
Hello, Panos Itanidis from Mandena TV Greece. A question for Mr. Briatore, not about Dotro again. You have been around 35 years. You have seen different eras of these sports. Teams and drivers go up and down. Only Monaco is still the same. What do you think about this current era of Formula One? And what still keeps you going? What gives you excitement traveling around the world and doing everything that your role has?
Like a tourist. No, Formula One is among the same, it's competition, but sure it's improving a lot. Commercial is improving a lot, mediatic is improving a lot. We have a lot of race, and United States is the big supporter of Formula One. At our time, the ROSA as well, because not so young, this guy, you know, he looks like young, but he's not so young. So the ROSA was very difficult to race in America, it was impossible. At the time, Bernie tried to race in America, it was impossible. Now, with Liberty, with the work is done by Stefano, really, it's opening a lot of commercial door. And the deal we done with Gucci is really part of the new Formula One, the new era. For this, I believe that Formula One is very growing, in very consistent way, very good, strong base, and after depend on the team to create the show. But I believe the Formula One now is much better than what we have at 20, 25, or 20, whatever, or not.
Well, yeah, I mean, I really...
So we have a discussion.
No, but Flavio, in '97, I was leading the Japanese Formula Nippon Championship, and I went to your factory to meet you. So in '97, you know, and you know,
25 years.
Yeah, well, 28, 29 years ago. No, I mean, 29 years ago we were around. And by the way, I arrived late and you left, so we never met. So anyway, long time ago. Anyway, everything has changed for the better.
All right, thank you guys. Next one, please.
Hello, Sam de Jonge, Play Sports Belgium. First of all, Pedro, I want to pass on my greetings from Mark Goossens, who I do the analysis with in Belgium, so that's it.
All the best.
Another question then, how big of a challenge is Monaco for a team setup-wise? Because sometimes it seems people underestimate that challenge, as Monaco is the slowest circuit on the calendar, where an F1 car doesn't really perform at its absolute limit, but still you have to find a balance in which the car works best and which the driver has confidence with. So how do you manage that?
So who's that for, please?
Sam de Jonge.
Yeah, who would you
Play
like
Sports.
to answer the question? For everybody or Pedro?
For whom? Sorry. Okay. Yeah, I don't know, maybe, yeah, sorry? No, I just, I obviously, Monaco is the most challenging track there is in the world for many reasons. And just the best thing you can do as a racing driver is have the patience really to build up the speed. We've said it many times, but I always say, you know, my nephew is racing in Formula 3 and, you know, where they come from for advice. I don't really have much advice other than just remember you only need one lap. The whole weekend, one lap. All you need is one lap, but in qualifying, you know, don't put it in FP1 because it might be too early and then you might crash in FP2. So just make sure that if you crash, it's when it matters and it's qualifying. That's my only advice. And for that, you just need to be like a fan, you know, that you slowly get the rhythm until you nail it in Q3, qualifying, whatever. Don't need two, need one.
Okay, thank you. Next, please.
Mara San Giorgio, Sky Sport F1 Italy. A question to all three of you. You don't make engines, but you build car. When do you need to know what next year power unit will be like as a team? Is there a sort of technical deadline?
Who'd like to start with that?
Well, the earlier the better, no? It's simple.
Honestly, today it's difficult to answer your question because the engineers are working in the power unit from next year. There's still a lot of Formula One commissioning go ahead. Honestly, for me, I don't have any idea what's going on for next year.
Yeah, and so I mean, I think as they're looking at the power unit, considering any changes, you have to consider what's the impact on the, the chassis for 27. And so, I think the teams, will be hoping for that there are no changes to the chassis, for 27. But obviously, time would be of the essence there. I think as Pedro said, the sooner the better. Yeah, we'll see what happens. There's a lot of work to do.
Okay, thank you. Next one, please.
Merve Kallio from Viaplay. Dan, for you, as a Finn, I need to ask you, you already mentioned Checo is on a pure pace, has been on this season. Where is Valtteri lacking, or why is he lacking a little bit of pure pace compared to Checo? And are you still confident to have him on the team, as the rumors, what we talked about?
Yeah, let me start with the last part. We're very confident to have Valtteri on the team. We have the utmost respect for him. And just to be clear, there have been no discussions, about, Valtteri's performance impacting his future with the team. We're committed to Valtteri. And like I said, and Valtteri's committed to, to us. I think, as this car is developing, it obviously needs, we need to continue to find more downforce, on the car. And every driver feels that differently. And progress, isn't always linear in that sense. And so what Checo feels today is, he's progressing, and, and I'm confident that Valtteri will be there, very, very soon.
Thank you, Dan. Let's bring in the written media now. Please remember to give your name and publication.
Leonid Kluev, Grande Premio, question for all three. Would you say that the 40-60 plan for 2027, which was agreed upon in principle, is still in effect? Or are we back to the previous stage where no such agreement actually exists, even in principle? Thank you.
Dan, can we start with you?
Yeah, so, at this point, I think it's still a work in process as to what it's going to look like, for 2027. So certainly from my vantage point, there's nothing written in stone at this point.
Flavio?
Well, it's absolutely the same. Nothing else to tell.
No, we cannot say things we don't know, really.
No, it's something we don't know.
Not decided.
You guys, you ask questions. We don't know. In this moment, we don't know what's going on. The FIA is not decided, nobody decided. It's a work in progress. Maybe in a few months, this question will be fantastic. We'll see in a few months.
Okay.
Oh.
Thanks all. Next, please.
Philip Clarion, motorsport.com Philip Clarion, motorsport.com for Dan, please. Dan, Colton obviously took a really big gamble this year, leaving his comfort zone of IndyCar behind. I'm sure it must have hurt him to watch the Indy 500 on TV recently. What have you made of his progress so far? Is that trajectory, that adaptation to European racing sort of going as you wanted it to go, even though it's obviously with ups and downs?
Yeah, and we certainly expected to see the ups and downs. I think, a big part of the Formula 2 journey was to learn tracks and tires. And, obviously in Formula 1, one lap pace is so important. And being able to, get your tires ready and go out and do the one lap as Pedro said. And, these are very different tires than what Colton's raced on his entire career. And so relearning that, learning new tracks as we go. This is his first time to race in Monaco. It'll be interesting to see just how quickly he learns his way, around the track. So love the progress that he's making, and, everything's on track, and it really is going about how we expected.
Thank you for that. Next one.
Adam Cooper from another one for Flavio. You've been friends with Christian for over 20 years. Whether it was as a shareholder or in some other capacity, would you be happy to work with him? And if so, what could he bring to Alpine that you don't have already?
I'd be happy to work with anybody. I don't have any... Honestly, I don't think so this is the point. I think so the point in this moment is, I don't know if Christian is involved in some group, want to buy auto or not. For me, welcome. I have zero problem, especially with Christian. I have super relationship with Christian. And, I know him that 20 years, and we're working together in the engine. You know, I supplied the engine to him at the time with Renault, we called Nissan, and we're working for 5 years together, super. Zero problem. But this is only the question, guys, with Renault Group. You need to talk with Renault, not with me, honestly.
Thank you for that. Next.
Christian Mehnert, motorsportmagazin.com. Another one for you, Dan. Another one on the engines. As Cadillac or General Motors, they don't have an engine for 27, but as a registered power unit manufacturer, you have a vote. So what is your position on 2027 engine? Do you agree to have a fuel flow that is much higher than the current one? And what is your position on the future F1 engine?
Yeah, I think with respect to the 27 engine, you know, again, it's a work in process. There's a lot of work to do. I think it's a complex negotiation, as you can imagine. You know, one change, you know, may benefit one team or one group, you know, more than the other. And so, you know, there's a lot of work to do. I think the main thing is that we can't go, while time is of the essence, we can't go too fast. It's very complex. There's a lot of modeling work that needs to be done to understand what these changes can achieve on track for the drivers without reopening homologation or doing too much. You know, to the chassis as well, and so that, you know, remains to be seen. You know, as to the future, you know, power unit, you know, we're on track for a V6 power unit in 2029. There's also talk of a V8 coming later as well, and you know, I think as GM has gone on the record, you know, we'd be very happy, you know, to build a V8 engine as well. And so, you know, a lot of work, a lot of negotiation across the power unit manufacturers, you know, left to do, and we'll see what happens.
Thank you. Next one.
Scott Mitchell from The Race. A question for Pedro. Fernando's incident in FP1 into the chicane, was that related to the gearbox issues that he and Lance have been talking about? And can you just talk about kind of what happened in that incident? Because normally when a driver loses control there, they lose control in a really big way, but he seemed to mitigate the effect of it.
Yeah, I don't really know exactly what happened, you know, in the sense that it was rear locking, but I don't really know because I haven't been able to look at the data if it was related to the downshift or not, but obviously it was a massive rear locking issue. He let go of the brakes at one point just to recover, otherwise it would have been a full spin. So he did very well to come out of that with just a little, you know, broken front end wing, you know, so that was that. It is, I guess it's all part of the same problem, you know, the drivability, predictability of the car when you brake, the downshift, which affects the brake balance, and then you move it rearwards in a way that it affects the downshift even further, or, you know, but I haven't looked at the data. I haven't spoken with Fernando, to be honest. But it is definitely not an easy car to drive. You know, when you see Fernando locking the rears going into the chicane in that way, you can imagine how difficult it must be around. You know, because the chicane, you arrive very fast, but there's a big runoff area. There's not a lot of runoff area in Casino, for example. You know, turn 3 when you go in and you break into the apex. So it's something that we're working, drivability, predictability. This year, it is still more challenging for the teams and the power units to deliver a constant torque under downshifting. Drivers are trying to use a very short gear in the apexes just to recharge more the battery, which makes it even worse if the whole downshifting process is not smooth enough, and that's where we are. We're working very hard, but definitely looking at what happened to Fernando. Don't know if it was braking, you know, locking or downshifting first. I don't care about that. The car is still too difficult to drive, so we still have to work a lot more.
Thank you. Next, please.
Josh Shutter from The Race. Flavio, given the team's performance has improved a lot since last year, have you had more interest from other drivers for driving for your team? And are you happy with your current lineup going forward?
You know, we are better, but I'm not happy in the way we are in this moment, because we need much better what we are. Because you have a McLaren with the same engine we have, you have a Mercedes with the same engine, and we are 6, 7 times behind. So we're improving, but we're not improving like I want. This is the problem we have in this moment. Driver is less improving the package. After the driver, we had the contact with Pierre, we need looking for the Colapinto. But you know, I think so you explained it quite well. The car is much more important in this moment. Sure, the driver made the difference. If you have one guy like maybe Max, make you 210, 310. But if you are 7, 8, 10 behind, you know, you don't have any driver made this difference. So let's work in the car, let's work in the pit stop, let's work in doing much better aerodynamic in our car. And after we talking about driver, you know, driver for me, the last part is the last bit. If you need to put the financial effort, you need to put when you're sure you have the possibility to win.